All right, they called to order the special meeting, of the Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District, November 26th at 6:30. And start with the roll call. I am Director Morgan present
Dave Whitman present.
Art Martinez present.
Randy Little present.
and Roger Wendell is not here at present. Our published agenda has, we have disclosure matters, including a vote for the investment policy. So I'm gonna move things around before we have even the discussion. Are there any disclosure matters? I don't see any. The discussion about the investment policy can be moved to, we can move that to new business, where new business goes if there's no objections. Are there any other changes to the agenda?
And you see any?
Okay, no changes. So it is time for public comment. We have 5 minutes of public comment per person, and we can start with the people in the room. Would you like to say anything today?
No comment.
All right, thank you. And would those online like to say anything? I don't see any hands raised, so we'll close public comment. Okay, then that brings us to our legal matters for the night. Consideration and vote on the Fossil Ridge mediated agreement. Dan, would you like to brief us?
Sure. So last Thursday, we participated, litigation counsel and I participated in mediation. And Josh was available by phone to answer some technical questions that we had throughout the day. And we did present. We approached the mediation from the perspective of the board's direction, the negotiating strategy, and we ended up at the final authorization that the board had provided, which was to provide the full 87 certificates of availability of service at the 2024 tap rates rate. And we did prepare a formal settlement agreement to execute if you choose to approve that tonight. In addition to that, this will resolve the appeal, this will resolve the trial court litigation, and this will resolve the potential for any cross claims from Fossil Ridge. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but that's the sort of quick and dirty.
Was it a long drawn out process or did it go fairly quickly?
It's about 9 hours,
9 hours.
and that was
Are
negotiating
you serious?
and preparing the document, yes.
Preparing the document. Wait, were you there 9 hours?
I think I was there for about 7 hours.
How did they drag it out for 7 hours?
You get a lot of lawyers in a couple rooms and
Jeez.
we can talk a lot.
Like I said, I'm glad I didn't go.
Ching.
Glad I didn't go, all right.
So question I do have is, we had talked a thing one time about 2025 tap fees.
Right.
What's the difference between 24 and 25?
Well, you haven't set 2025 yet,
Right,
so we don't know.
okay, that's the question I had.
Right, so that was not, couldn't negotiate for a number that we don't have yet.
Right,
Okay, well, good job then. We agreed upon
and no futuristic,
Right, we have an agreement in here that
we don't owe them anything in the future, anybody over there.
they will not ask, and you are not obligated to consider or approve any additional requests. And they agree not to make any additional requests.
it. I agree to that.
So is there a motion to accept this?
I motion we accept
What is it called?
the results of the negotiation.
The full and final release and settlement agreement.
A second,
Director Martinez makes motion, Director Little seconds. Any other discussion? I will not be voting for this. I was not in favor of the settlement before, and I I'm against everything without the public notice. This has been really rushed through, so I will not be voting in favor. All in favor?
Okay.
And so that is everyone present. Director Wickman, Martinez, and Little are in favor, and Morgan is against. Motion passes.
Just as a note, did anyone hear from Roger?
No, I did just text him. I have not heard from him.
Okay.
You probably didn't realize there's a meeting tonight.
He checked in last week, so I reminded him that it was this week, so I don't know.
And this is his meeting.
Yeah, seems like it was approximate.
Motion passed anyway. We have a settlement.
I will prepare the documents and circulate them and proceed.
Thank you much. What? Which?
Today is the 26th.
Yeah.
Soon. What's too late? Soon. All of these fees are paid by the individuals.
Everybody bears their own.
That's, yeah.
Yep.
that's-
We have not, again, read any of the
Yeah.
documents, so, okay. All right, no other business there, is that correct? That concludes all Fossil Ridge, anything else to
yes.
note?
Nope, I'll take care of the rest of it.
Then our next matter today is an executive session for the purpose of receiving legal advice on the Federal Center Development and Agreement. Is there a motion?
A motion that we won the executive session.
Thank you, Director Little. Second? Second by Director Martinez. All in favor? Unanimous.
As the district attorney, it is my opinion that the discussion of the matter announced in the motion to go into executive session constitutes privileged attorney-client communication. I am therefore requesting that no further record be kept until the executive session has been concluded. The executive session has been concluded. The time is now 7:55. The participants in the executive session were the board of directors, district manager, general counsel, and special counsel. Director Wendell arrived at 7:02 and has participated in the executive session since that point. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record. Seeing none, the next agenda item is actions resulting from the executive session. Or discussion.
So for the record, I wanted to say thank you again to Ann and Andrew for answering all of our questions and for being such good participants in getting us on track, especially on all of our environmental concerns across a couple big things. So we will continue working on the next step and call you as needed from here. Thank you very much for doing all of this and participating in our late night meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you
Um,
all.
Thanks for calling in, guys.
As we did. I'm not sure where to go from here. What my preference from here would be. We need to develop a policy then on where we are going to go with the Federal Center development. I think a number of issues came up. I think it might be just wise to sit on it until the next session to see if anything bubbles up for which way to go. Would you be comfortable in giving, I don't know how much to say about our options?
So I think the general tracks available to the board for consideration are to proceed with the normal process of development by which you impose rules and regulations and restrictions and requirements on the development, and at the end, you service the customers individually and you own the infrastructure, you operate it, you maintain it, and you bear some exposure for the water and wastewater specifically. Alternatively, you could just turn over the entire project to an independent entity, special district of some sort, homeowners association of some sort, some other common interest community, however structured. And you would, for the most part, give up the opportunity to impose your restrictions that are outside of engineering standards and Denver water and Metro wastewater recovery standards. As a third option, you could attempt a hybrid. You could pursue a hybrid method where some successor entity or up to the developer owns, operates it, but complies with your environmental testing requirements and construction standards. So I think those are the three tracks, which I would say are normal, alternative, and hybrid.
Okay, so that is kind of everything. I was just afraid to throw it all out there, but, and in my opinion, the things to consider were, like you said, just recapping. The environmental considerations are under the normal path, would be something that we can do a little bit further study on. And make sure that we agree with, that things are safe to move forward. That is not an option on the alternative path. On the alternative path, then you are enabling Metro District formation and problems that we have seen with Metro districts. You don't have that on the normal path.
Well, I was gonna say, my preference would be rather than choosing things at this point. At some point, I think we talked about, and I'm still visiting, I would like to get public input. And see what they wanna do. And as of right now, we said we were gonna do it, but we didn't.
At this point, I have no idea what you're talking about with public input. Because, so. And there is no public input if we are not going to be taking ownership. Cause it's, I mean, we can take public input on whether or not we own it,
Well,
as opposed to the environmental.
there is public input if you present the three options, that three paths. That the public would get their input as to what they would like to see. Path one is the district owns it, and then we heavy duty oversight on the environmentals. Whatever he stated. And let the public get their input as to see what they got. They may come back and say, wow, we want to see, you guys take full control over it. They may say, no, we want you to cut the umbilical cord and just, let them have the baby. I think there's a lot of public input there, so I would agree with you on that. I would like to see some public input.
I would like to see, anyway. There are things to think about. So I think coming back and having that discussion again.
I think to me, we're beyond public comment. I think we have three positions that we want, that are out there on the table. I think we need to take a look at all three of them. I think something needs to be written up on all three of them and return to us so we can read it or, see what everything's in there. Make any changes that then present it to them. Let them make the determination.
Who is that?
Yeah, who is that?
Lincoln Properties.
Let them decide.
Yeah, which one do they want to, which path do they want to go down?
I think it would be appropriate for the board to decide.
That's what I'm saying, decide which one first.
board should make a decision how it wants to proceed.
Okay, that's fine too.
With public input, if it's available, without, or it's
That's fine.
ultimately a board decision, what process you want to impose.
That's fine.
Do you all want to think about what you would like to see in the three options, or which one you would support, or do you just want to? Do you need something to read wherein you want to start drafting now and have three options to put on an agenda next time? You need to have that in writing, to have something to do. Will you read it? Or do you want time to do it, or are you ready to go right now?
Well, I want the public input, and part of that, remember last time I was saying, if we're getting this, I wanna run it by some friends, and let them look at it as well. Right now, I haven't, because we're keeping it in-house. And we were gonna sit there and say, okay, we're ready to go, we'll pass it on to them for their input. At the same time, we also start getting input from other people, the public. And at some point, like I said, I'd like to get an official public hearing, and this is a big deal. And to sit there and say, I have all the wisdom and we ought to just do it, I'm uncomfortable with that. I think we should take the time and get public input, find out what our people want us to do
On this issue,
on this issue. Well,
on this issue. So what I'm hearing is you need this written out. And we'll put it on the agenda for another meeting, three options written out. That would be available for public discussion, ready for a public. Put on the agenda before we look at them.
I can prepare summaries of
Yeah,
the three
Summary,
options
yeah.
available for the board to consider, and if you would like to be put on the website for public review.
that part would be good.
Okay,
At some point, I would still like to say, come on in, give us your input.
well, that's every meeting, right? We
Well,
have public comment.
I think this ought to be a public hearing on this. This is the big deal.
Well, this is-
What's the difference that you envision between public comment and the public hearing?
Well, a lot of questions come up, and these things that we've just talked about, you wanna take responsibility, you wanna let them do it. Those are potentially burdensome impacts, and I'd be interested in, what people, wanna do. My job is to represent them, and, I don't know what they want.
Right, but that didn't actually answer my question. So what process do you propose to create a public hearing as opposed to just having the public comment period during a regular meeting?
Well, if we specifically said public hearing for this purpose, come in and give us your input on this thing.
Okay, so like a special meeting, but on the agenda is a specific item that says public hearing.
Okay, yeah, special meeting, sure.
In which we're still not dialoguing, but we will just take public comment.
Well, I think we can have a dialogue, I love the dialogue. We kind of did that one meeting, where we only had a couple of members of the public. And it's like, if we continue that with more members of the public, I think we might have got a sense of what the public wanted.
And what if no one comes?
How many people?
Then I can sit there and say, I tried. And at the end of the day, it always comes back, did you do the right thing, Dave? I tried. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Nobody comes.
Is there any way to get this out to the public? I mean, through we don't have everybody's email address, I'm assuming.
Well, you've got a newsletter and you send out bills.
Could it go out in the bill?
That's how we have done it before.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a way to get it out to.
Yeah, that'd be.
Because if you left it up to you and me, Dave, we'd get it out to 10 people, 5 of them would show up maybe.
No, you're right. The thing to do is put it in the bill.
Yeah, I think.
And like I say, whether it goes anywhere or not, I don't know. But if nothing else,
We tried.
We're telling the people that we do care.
Well, I would support a notice that we are having a special meeting. I don't know that we can dialogue endlessly with everybody. So that's the point of it. I would say public comment
Public comment.
and tell people that we're doing this.
And you can extend it.
We can,
5 minutes, you already do.
Oh,
5
I
minutes,
see.
don't you?
We do 5 minutes already. So
Everybody gets a second.
within that maybe within the 5 minutes, we can ask questions, or we don't need to ask. You can always follow up with them later, but I don't want to spend half an hour asking per person. We have to have some limits.
So if there's 50 people, we can only get 25 in here. Can we get 25 to come in and give their comments and have them leave and the other 25 come in
Well, they can appear on Zoom.
or appear on Zoom?
Actually, I like the dialogue, because with the public comment just limited to 5 minutes, you gotta have all your thoughts together. I mean, I like dialogues, because like somebody said something that I never thought of, then I think of something. I say it, I pass it on, it's like, oh, to somebody else, I hadn't thought about. It stimulates, all sorts of, well, debate. So I like dialogue.
I understand. I think let's just hold a motion on it and we'll just vote how you want to hold your public meeting. So we will hold, and although again, we don't have December. So the earliest we could do this is January. So we're putting off all decisions until January. That is, and that's still holidays. We're looking at this is a special session, so we're at the end of January. So this is a 2-month hiatus.
Give people a chance to think about it. At the end of the
That
day, it's like, what,
Is
we,
a little bit unreasonable since it has been on the calendar for a little while, don't you think that,
no.
not this meeting, but the issue?
Something this big doesn't have to be done in just a couple months. This is probably the biggest thing we'll ever do in our career on the board.
No, but you're making me want to cry. I hear this every single meeting for the last 6 months.
That's still true.
I know, but you're never ever gonna want to move on it. I don't see that that is. I think in a normal, responsible course of business, we ought to be able to think on it. That was the point of something to come out of this meeting. We're advancing it a little bit longer. We can, move forward with something in the December regular meeting. So I think, we'll have,
Let me ask
I
a
think,
question.
motions for a public hearing in the December meeting and we can advertise.
What are you expecting out of your public comment or public open dialogue?
Well, the point is, I don't know what I don't know. And so somebody might know something that I don't, and all of a sudden that gets the juices running. And even if nothing new comes out, the point is, we did the right thing of asking. And nobody's ever gonna sit there and say, I'm so upset with you for asking my opinion. I wish you hadn't done that. Stop asking me my opinion, just do whatever you want. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think it'll be a good idea to just start asking people.
In my opinion, I think 90% of 90% of the people we throw it out to public comment don't even know what we're talking about.
Well, that happens, but like I say, we can't use that as an
That's
excuse.
fine, that's fine, yeah, you can't, like I said, can't use excuses, but you gotta try.
You gotta try. And,
That's part of what we do.
I wouldn't
Well,
doubt the fact it could very well come to have a public meeting and nobody comes. It could happen. But the point is, I did everything I could
Okay, all right,
to
that's
reach
fine.
out to them.
I mean, they are your clients.
That you guys would
You work
make a
for them.
much stronger case if we didn't just have a settlement discussion with no public notice. I mean, this is so hypocritical right now.
You don't wanna make this, you don't wanna make the decision in isolation. You want it to be able to say.
And
"Try to get everybody."
Bottom line, though, it's up to us 5 right here to make the
It's up-
decision.
Yeah, but
So can we, could we have summaries of the 3 options for a December meeting
In advance of the meeting,
in advance of the meeting?
yes.
And let's, can we have it on the agenda
I don't need to point it.
to discuss?
Oh, yes.
But, and include what Douglas brought to the table, right? What you said about the ups and downs or ins and outs or the pros and cons of owning it versus not owning it. How much of a headache it is to own it versus how much it's not a headache. It's all part of what we,
It's the summaries, yeah.
in the summary,
I can
Right.
include that.
yeah.
and I will work with Josh on that.
Yeah, I mean, sorry,
Okay.
like Josh.
Yeah.
And Josh, I'm sorry.
Well,
And I know I'm
I was thinking-
I was gonna say-
speaking slow, but let me
That's
finish. That way, we will be able, and if it's a summary, we can put it out, people can talk about it. And at that point, we can decide whether or not we have enough information to vote on. Or we can notice it in the next newsletter. We can do that. That is a public meeting. People can come to that. I don't think, I think we missed the newsletter for this month. It wouldn't be.
Well, I was gonna, excuse me, for the December, we were gonna have we have a line item for that agenda on a newsletter for the rates. Once they are finalized, to distribute to the public.
When's
that would,
the,
and that would be a good, that would be a good vehicle to include this with that.
when's the next, bill go out? December?
Well, the newsletter will go out independent of the bill.
Then that'd be a good time,
Yeah.
like you said, a good time to send it.
Physical addresses, we have emails that people have opted in to receive.
But anyway, to clarify, we can't do the meeting until January. We might talk about doing December, that's like 2 weeks from now. And this is like in the holiday season. One of my pet peeves with city council, is they always want to do a meeting in mid-December. Well, everybody's on holiday. Nobody knows what's going on. And I always said, no more of these public hearings in December. It's the holidays. Do it in January.
That's cool.
Good point.
Okay, so you are agreeing to a January hearing and not discussing this in December? And putting this off for?
I would like to see the three proposals, or whatever we're gonna call it, in December, so we can have a chance to look at them and make some sort of public comment in January.
Okay, so we are not discussing, you are saying you would not be discussing this in December.
No.
We're taking this off the agenda, and that's 3 votes, so it doesn't really matter what you or I want, but I'm giving you the option. What would you like to do? Okay, so putting it out on having summaries, no discussion in December, but putting the 3 out on the website with a link in the newsletter. So that people can, know that we are having a discussion about it in regular January meeting. No, we would need a special meeting for the regular January meeting.
Yeah, why can't we just do
We'll
it?
just do it in the regular January meeting and we'll have
I mean,
time
will
off.
that be time for the newsletter to get out?
Yes. Yeah.
Can I hold a motion on, have a motion for extending public comment times and or dialogue for a format for a January meeting?
I have a motion for that.
What is your motion?
The motion to, have a formal dialogue and extending, as you just.
Give me time limits.
I don't see why we have to do time limits.
Are
I
you
mean,
doing
I-
time limits per person, per meeting? Can one person dialogue for half an hour? Are we gonna be here till midnight? What are we gonna do?
If need be, I can't possibly visualize that somebody will talk for 4 hours and keep us till midnight. But in a total scheme of things, if that were happen, I would rather do that than cut somebody off because, well, they went over their 5 minutes.
Okay,
And
so
so-
the motion is for absolutely no limits for a January hearing on probably whatever they wanna talk about, because that's the way this is going, right?
Related to this
Okay.
topic.
I would say 10 minutes max.
That's not the motion.
I know.
So, who's making the motion?
I'll make that motion.
Director Martinez,
Second,
second by Director Rickman.
Well, Claire, what are we voting on?
The format for a January
The regular meeting?
regular meeting for public comment, it would be a public hearing that they are wanting. So a hearing so that everybody can talk and have a free-for-all,
But we're not deciding on time limits.
but no time limits.
Okay.
We are deciding that there are no time limits for either the length of the meeting or the public comment or topics,
And the dialogue is permitted.
and the dialogue is permitted.
That's the.
That's the free-for-all.
In the, can we change the time from 6:30 to earlier? Since there's no time limit on dialogue? I mean, if we start at 6:30, we can be here until 2 in the morning. If people show up.
Yeah.
I mean, if we start at 4 in the afternoon, or, you know, people can come anytime from, it's an open house.
We're an awful lot of maybes. In all my career, I've never seen things quite go like that bad. I'm thinking 6:30, we're probably done by 9. But, if it goes beyond that, we can always adjourn and you'll pick it up another time if somehow it gets out of control. But if we so focus on what might happen, we cut off what we need to do,
I'm just thinking, Dave, not to interrupt you, but I'm just thinking of when you and I went out to the church out there to talk about Rooney or the drag strip. 400 people showed up.
well, we're not gonna get 400 people.
You never know. If he's putting it out in the newsletter, there might be a lot of, we don't know how many people would show up.
If there's 400 people, then maybe we need another meeting and this is more important than I thought.
If you get that many, it's,
So I'm
it's
hearing the
a-
suggestion for a new time was declined. So
Okay.
any other suggestions?
Are you saying
Discussions?
start at 6, is that it, or something like that?
Well, I would start at 6 maybe instead of
Okay,
6:30. Can you make it at 6, Roger?
No, I can't. Let's make it 6:30. It's a good incentive for people to speak quickly.
Good.
All right, I'm fine with whatever.
Call them
Okay, all in favor of the January public hearing? That is all the men.
out.
And I am not for. I do like public comment. Okay, so we've got directions for summaries coming up.
Summaries in advance of the December meeting for consideration by the board and public comment at the
in
January.
January, no discussion in December. Okay. Good enough.
Is the pressure on you at all, Dylan,
That
by
was-
them
Yeah, I mean, they want to see
tomorrow?
progress, but, I mean, they're not showing up with baseball bats.
Okay, that's just out of curiosity.
So would you like some sort of a draft newsletter for the December meeting? Or are you just giving me the green light to? Or you guys agree on topics you want on the newsletter and we just put them together and set it out?
I have a column for the newsletter,
Okay.
And here's the 3 proposals.
and then there's the announcement. So,
Now, can we show the public the proposals before we show Lincoln Properties
Well, the summaries,
summaries?
my understanding of the plan is that an announcement of the public hearing will be made in the newsletter, but the summaries will be put on the website.
Okay, but that's legally, we can do that without,
Well, everybody's getting it at the same time.
okay,
Nobody's getting a copy of the draft agreements.
Okay.
Other than the board, just the summaries.
okay, I'm just
That's my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong.
trying to make sure it's legal and
Yep.
we're not giving out information.
Let
that
me
we shouldn't.
clarify one thing, the draft stuff that we've been looking at today,
Yeah,
before, I wasn't able to put it out because I had to wait.
right.
Now I'm thinking I can, right, or not?
Not if you want it to remain confidential.
I don't
the
know.
new summaries.
Yeah, to wait until the summaries come out. When they put it on the newsletter, then you can send it to anybody you want.
Well, I'm not interested in confidentiality, so it's not a goal of mine. So,
Well, so the last meeting, there was a motion to present the draft proposal to the developer. And you asked if you could circulate it, and we talked about if you're gonna circulate it to people, you should give it to the developer.
yeah, that was fine.
And that motion wasn't passed, so the developer still doesn't have this draft motion.
Right, and neither do the people. But
Right,
at this point, I'm thinking we can go ahead and start telling stuff to the developer and to the people. I mean, more information goes out, the more information can come back in. I don't see any reason to be confidential about this.
I candidly don't perceive much value in confidentiality here. I just want to make sure that distribution is uniform. So if you make it available to the public, I would prefer to. I would like to just send a copy to the developer also.
I'm okay with that.
So that's.
Yeah, but those aren't the final. I don't know about sending it out because what you're writing up is not a final draft. This is a draft for
Well,
consideration and we're gonna
Yeah,
beat it apart.
just they're all drafts at this point.
Yeah, you make it clear it's drafts. I remember that was one of my pet peeves on council was like, oh, we can't have any drafts go out to the people until the final product done. Well, the final product's like 5 minutes before you vote on it. It's like, the people can't see the final product. You gotta be able to follow the drafts. And yeah, it's a little effort to keep up with it, but better to be following the draft than all of a sudden hear about it 5 minutes after it's done.
I'm just looking at, I just don't want Lincoln Properties to come back and say, well, you sent us out 3 proposals. We didn't realize those were draft. We thought those were made in stone.
Just
It
make it,
needs to be, if they're gonna get it, it needs to be known upfront that it is a draft
right.
and subject to change.
Yeah.
Subject to change.
And that was gonna be clear to them anyway, that this is our proposal
Yeah,
draft.
but you know, those, they read, they.
Well,
Okay,
well, emphasize that it's a draft.
At this point, it would be, this is a draft for public consideration at this point.
And their input is also solicited. Yes.
good.
Well, tell me what to do. Are you authorizing me to provide this to the developer,
Far away, that's right.
the board? That's,
We will have to ask you.
because that's a board.
You- Okay,
I have no secrets. Let them know.
No,
You-
you may make a motion.
Oh,
I-
okay.
There's also
realize
some additional
Dylan's
changes.
been asking for this for what, 3 months? How
Yeah.
many times have you asked us to make this public? And now all of a sudden you don't have any secrets? Okay.
Maybe four.
Okay, well, good.
If you-
Maybe now.
If you need a motion, I motion that we let it go to developers and to the world. No more
The-
confidentiality.
The proposed,
And this will include the lawyer's, changes she noted tonight, right?
Subject to change.
Yeah, I will.
This draft. you're gonna-
I will not send the draft that we have in our hands. I'll take a look at what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we talked about
He
some stuff.
prepares and incorporate those changes. Yes. So. But you
Okay.
want to show drafts, that there's 2 drafts there.
so Director Whitman makes a motion to make the proposed agreement public, including to Lincoln Properties. Everybody that can be available then online with the rest. Yes,
That's fine.
second?
Second.
Second by Director Martinez. All in favor? Fine, unanimous.
I have people going 5 different directions.
Okay,
That was pretty good.
what else?
Isn't that a definition of a board?
Yeah, really.
We're still doing summaries of
Yes.
all of them,
Summaries of
even
the
though there's
options.
not one, okay?
And public hearing in January, and then I think. Investment policy.
Newsletter going out in December.
Nope. The newsletter would go out in January once the new rates take effect.
But the newsletter will go out in time for them to know about the hearing.
Correct.
Yeah, but how many days?
I present a draft of a newsletter with your additions. And then if you like that.
Can you-
then-
If it's a special edition, it can go out at the end of December.
Yes,
We can talk about that.
Yeah, we
when it
can-
goes out.
It's gotta go out with enough time for them to read it and say.
once we have the approval.
If there's not enough time, I guess I might say maybe we put the meeting off 1 week, be the 3rd Tuesday, but whatever. I prefer that they get it in the newsletter,
Absolutely.
maximum exposure.
Okay. When the draft, we'll have the draft after the next December meeting when we approve the budget, so it'll be after that.
I mean, I could have a draft prepared for the December meeting with just like rate XYZ.
Okay.
And then some sort of language for the
I don't think,
public hearing and then
I
subject
think we
to,
just need the date when it's going to go out.
okay.
Is it all anybody cares about?
I
Right, do you wanna see the draft?
was gonna say, I wouldn't mind seeing it, I mean,
Okay.
I'd be concerned though that the newsletter is going out with a rate change, that the whole meeting will be taken over by rate change.
Well, that's what the December meeting is,
Yeah,
the hearing on the rates and fees.
Okay, so we need a separate agenda item for the draft
At the December
at the
meeting.
December meeting. This is getting, I'm gonna say. And everybody else is agreeing with seeing the agenda, the newsletter draft. This is not something that is. I'm the micromanager here and this is delving into the micromanagement level to me, so I'm not in favor of that. But I'm anticipating all of you are fine with seeing and talking about the newsletter. The language that goes on there, okay.
if you have any comments on your three proposed, three summaries?
I'll
Get back to you.
defer to whoever does the newsletters.
Well,
Well,
that's
fair
our
enough.
Yeah,
normal
that's sort of
process.
yeah,
That's why I don't,
Yeah.
wouldn't put
Kind
it
of
on there.
word stuff sometimes, you know, I look at
Sax
words. and-
player.
Sure. I can send that.
I'm sorry?
Like the sax player, I know.
Oh.
Seems to-
So is there dispute? Can I have a motion? Yeah. Motion to put on the agenda, discussion about the newsletter
some of them.
by Director Rickman,
I'll say,
second by Director Little, all in favor of of discussing the newsletter language in December. That is Director Whitman, Little, and Wendell. Motion passes. Okay. Do we have this buried yet? Good, anybody?
Barry, yes, I think we're fine for tonight.
Okay. Um. Two more things, this investment policy. Do we want to talk about this tonight? It was on the agenda. I misunderstood, I guess. I thought we were going to defer this until December meeting. Is anybody?
I thought so too, I thought, yeah.
Okay. Are we prepared to talk about it tonight? No,
Well, I'm easy going, I'd vote for it, so.
I will say what's presented to you is already in the current resolution. Correct? The investment,
Well,
there is
it,
a resolution.
so the authorization of delegation does. I don't understand.
yeah, never mind, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
It incorporates. Discretion that is already in the policy, but it does specifically authorize deviation from the laddering requirement for 2 fiscal quarters. That's the specific discretion authorization of this document. But yes, if you want to take this up at the December meeting, that's fine. Here it is for your consideration.
Yeah, these special meetings where they handle these special circumstances, right, these special deals that we got going on.
Well, it is on the agenda, so we can be doing this.
Yeah, I didn't.
Well, I'm ready to vote for it, but whatever, I can go either way.
interest rates are dropping like crazy too.
Is there a motion? Anybody want to raise a motion to accept or table to December?
I move to accept the proposal.
Okay.
As
The
presented,
investment resolution,
as presented, yes.
Director Wickman motions, seconds,
I'll second that.
second by Director Wendell. Discussion? All in favor? Director Wickman, Director Wendell. Okay, motion fails. Is it, are we voting no because we didn't have time to look at it and you would like to bring it back in December? In 2 weeks.
Yeah, I just got this back today and so.
I want to look at it and see if it's even worth our while.
Okay, so, we are, so table it until the December meeting, we can bring this
Yeah,
back.
that's the notes I had from.
It's
last
great.
meeting was.
And it
For
let us,
December?
for this meeting.
for this meeting.
It let us, get a brief, so that is great. I wanted to ask, just so everybody knows, we need to make some decisions on how to proceed with the ravine bridge. Can we do, an executive session on that next time?
Yes,
Or
for the December regular meeting.
for the December regular meeting? To get the legal options, okay? And I did hear a suggestion last time to move meetings to mornings that some people were fine with,
What? That's the first time I'm hearing that.
Okay.
Meetings in the morning, what?
okay?
Well, we
No, nobody's,
did have one special meeting in the morning.
we did,
Oh,
last Friday. when
well,
we were
if
doing
you
this.
all want a particular meeting, are we calling one?
No, I
Oh.
wondered if anybody. I thought people were interested in doing that or were available. That is easier on staff and the people, everybody but us. Because we're, you know, to have the professionals around. Any interest? No, okay. That's all I've got. Anybody else have any other business to talk? Good?
Just curious, have you heard anything from Big Sky? The court? Anything? All is quiet?
All is quiet, yes, and I need to follow up about drafts on the, closing briefs. Cause you wanted to work those. I'll follow up with Nicole. Think December 9th, if I recall, and December 9th is the deadline to file those.
Right, I don't see anything else. Adjourn the meeting at 8:35. Thank you all.